Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Novel Network. Crossing World War II and becoming the prisoner of the Japanese prisoner of war camp. Rebirth of the Bears League in 1939. Alec became the commander of the Far Eastern prisoner of war camp. Responsible for managing cherry blossom prisoners of war. At the same time, the system was also activated. As long as you torture the Sakura prisoners of war, you can continuously obtain torture points and exchange them for various rewards. What else is there to hesitate about? Using cherry blossoms as raw materials. Help the Alliance crush the invasion, support the Eastern powers, let the red flame burn throughout the world, pull the beautiful country down from the altar, and lead all humanity towards the Starry Sea. Sakura prisoner of war. That man is simply a demon. Mao Xiong Alliance. He is the light of the Alliance. Beautiful country. The existence of Alec is the biggest obstacle for us to dominate the world. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Journey through World War II, serving as a Sakura prisoner of war camp. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In 1939. The Bears Alliance. Far East Yakutsk City. In a warm house covered in fur. Where is this? A handsome young man with a high nose bridge and big eyes, with sharp edges, sat up. He looked bewildered. His eyes were empty and dazed. Curiously looking around. Suddenly, he experienced a sharp pain in his head. A huge amount of information flooded into my mind. It took him a long time to sort out this information. There was a hint of shock in my eyes. So, have I traveled? Is this the 1939 Bears League? The name of my body is Alec. Alec murmured to himself. He was originally a student of the Dragon Kingdom in the 21st century in his past life. I don't know why. I woke up and traveled here as soon as I woke up. Becoming the owner of this body. And his identity is not ordinary. He is the only grandson of Lemontov, the commander of the 14th Army of the Far East in the Bears Alliance. In the Far East region. It can be completely considered as a super second generation who needs wind and rain. This is definitely a wild start. Young master, the old man asked you to come over for a moment. A sweet-looking maid pushed open the door and spoke coquettishly. Alec paused slightly. Immediately stood up. Wearing a fur cloak. He followed the maid all the way to the old man's study. In the room. The fireplace was burning brightly, and the firewood was peeling and making a sound. An elderly man with a hooked nose sat upright on the sofa. Having white beard and hair, it is obvious that one is of advanced age. But he was spirited and full of brilliance in his eyes. The whole person looks like a lion. An indescribable majesty surged all over my body. This is Alec's grandfather. Mao Xiong Alliance military leader. Lemontov. See Alec walk in. Lemontov's face also showed a spoiled smile. The previously terrifying pressure suddenly subsided. Instead, it is a warm and sunny spring day. He patted the seat in front of him. Smiling, he spoke up. Come on, Alec, my great-grandson, sit down quickly. Although Lemontov's power is prominent. But the population below is thin. A few years ago, my only son died in war. Alec is his only bloodline. That's why. For this only grandson. He treated him like a heartthrob. Alec did not hesitate. Step forward with great strides. Sit down in front of Lemontov. Old man, what do you need me for? Lemontov coughed lightly. His gaze also became serious. He spoke in a deep voice. Alec, what do you think about the current situation of the Alliance? Alec was slightly taken aback. Some are uncertain about Lemontov's thoughts. A little hesitation. He spoke confidently based on the memory of this body and his previous understanding of the history of this era. Old man, the situation in the Alliance is not optimistic. On the European side, the sun never sets and the Gauls are determined to divert trouble from the east. The chariot states are restless, and the flames of war will soon reach our alliance. And here in the Far East, the Sakura kingdom has ambitious wolves, intending to swallow pythons and elephants, as well as strategic plans to invade our alliance's Far East region based on the Dragon Kingdom. So, while the alliance seems calm now, it is actually a situation of internal and external troubles, in dire straits. Upon hearing this, Lemontov's eyes couldn't help but sparkle with a hint of surprise. He thought he was his grandson. He is a playboy living under his own wings. I never thought about it. Surprisingly, he has such a profound understanding of the current situation. This really surprised him. Not bad, as you said, the current situation of the alliance is not optimistic. So, any alliance man must take on his due responsibility. Even if you are my grandson, Lemontov, you cannot continue to idle around and live a comfortable life. We must do our best and shine. Lemontov spoke in a deep voice. Then he took out a document from the drawer. A few days ago, at the Helexan River, the Alliance army defeated a cherry blossom army and captured 5,000 cherry blossom soldiers. The Alliance has decided to establish a prisoner of war camp, allowing these 5,000 cherry blossom prisoners of war to serve our alliance. This is the appointment letter of the commander of the Far East Sakura prisoner of war camp, which has been specially approved by the Alliance Military Commission. From today on, you will be responsible for managing those 5,000 cherry blossom prisoners of war. This is also Lemontov's hard work. He has lost a son. I naturally don't want my only grandson to die on that battlefield. But the situation is like this. Countless eyes stared at it. He cannot let Alec continue to idle around and be a playboy. So, he used his connections. I have secured a position as the captain of a cherry blossom prisoner of war camp for Alec. This position is located in the rear. You don't need to go directly to the front line. Relatively safer. But Alec himself was a bit confused. Sakura prisoner of war camp commander. He never expected it. How could it be such an arrangement? He hasn't had a chance to speak yet. In my mind. Another emotionless cold mechanical voice rang out. Detected that the host has obtained the position of Sakura prisoner of war camp commander. Super torment system successfully activated. Hosts can torture prisoners of war to obtain torture points and exchange them for system rewards. P.S. The new book is on its way, and we are looking for free flowers and review tickets. Everyone knows how important the data is on the first day of the new book. If you like this book, please support it. As long as you have 100 votes for 300 flowers, you will receive 10 updates on the first day. Chapter 2. Beauty Assistant Tasia. New Book Seeking. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This sudden sound directly made Alec feel completely bewildered. After a moment, he just realized it. A hint of ecstasy surged in my heart. System. As a traveler, he can't be more familiar with these two words. This is the foundation for him to live a lifetime and settle down. The background of the second generation of the super military. Add another system. What is this called? This is called rocket. And the usage of this system is very simple. Just torture the prisoners of war. Obtain torment value. You can redeem various system rewards. This is simply too fragrant. And, more importantly, this time to torture 5,000 cherry blossom prisoners of war. This gives Alec even less reason to refuse. As a traveler, Alec has no fondness for those cherry blossom soldiers. Even with extremely strong hatred. There is an irreconcilable blood feud between Sakura and Dragon Kingdom. But unfortunately, in the past life, due to historical reasons, Dragon Kingdom is unable to retaliate against cherry blossoms with blood for blood. And in this lifetime, Alec crossed over and became the second generation of the furry bear. Then there are no more concerns. If we don't play with these cherry blossom prisoners of war. He even apologized to his ancestors. So, from any perspective, the position of captain of this Sakura prisoner of war camp, he is all disrespectful. Once you think about it. He spoke loudly without hesitation. Okay. Old man, I'll go. Upon hearing Alec's crisp and decisive answer, Lemontov's eyes also lit up with a hint of laughter. He patted Alec's shoulder. Speak loudly. Ha ha ha, it's truly my Lemontov bloodline. Although not on the front line, the work of the prisoner of war camp is also very important for the alliance. Of course, this is your first formal start to work, and it's inevitable that you may be unfamiliar. I have also specially selected an assistant for you. Speaking. Lemontov lightly patted his hands. The door opens. A slender blonde woman wearing an Alliance military uniform walked in with great strides. She gave a solemn military salute to Lemontov and Alec. The movements are crisp and sharp, without any dragging or dragging. Appearing heroic and spirited. Alec, let me introduce you. This is Tasia, currently holding the rank of captain. She has been following me for a long time, and you can fully trust her. Starting from today, she will be your close aide, responsible for protecting your safety and helping you handle various affairs of the Sakura prisoner of war camp. Lemontov smiled and spoke. Alec nodded. His gaze swept over Tasia's body. It has to be said. This female captain is indeed a standard fighting ethnic beauty. Set off against a straight military uniform. She appears even more proud of her figure. Concave and uneven, with straight legs, every move carries an indescribable charm. Such an adjutant, pleasing to the eye. At the same time, Lemontov also looked at Tasia. Serious gaze and gloomy voice. Tasia, you have to remember. From now on, Alec will be your master. Everything about you belongs to him, you must faithfully execute all his commands. His safety is above all else, even higher than your life. I, Your Excellency Commander. Tasia agreed without hesitation. Yuguan also deeply engraved Alec's appearance in his heart. A long time ago. She was mentally prepared. I understand that there will definitely be such a day. Her wisdom, her strength, and even her pure teenage body. They will all belong completely to the man in front of them. This man. It's her fate. Lemontov gave a gentle smile. I took out another folder. Push in front of Alec. Here are 2 special train tickets to the prisoner of war camp. It's not too late, you 2 will set off tonight. If you encounter any unresolved problems over there, just notify me immediately. Buzz. Black smoke was rising in waves. The train roared. Sail from Yakutsk to the prisoner of war camp base. Alec is half lying in the exclusive carriage. Looking at the beautiful military officer Tasia standing by. I couldn't help but chuckle and speak. Tasia, you don't have to be so reserved. Sit down. Tasia nodded. According to Alec's instructions. Sitting down obediently. This movement was another wave of ups and downs. And getting closer. Alec can smell it very clearly. On Tasia's body. There is a mesmerizing fragrance of a young girl. This little girl. What a personal charm. But at such times. Obviously, it's not a great opportunity for in-depth communication. Alec took a deep breath. Suppress the inexplicable evil fire in my heart. Speak calmly. Since the old man has chosen you to be my deputy, it shows that you have enough ability. If I'm not mistaken, you probably already have a fairly thorough understanding of the situation in the Sakura prisoner of war camp, right? Can you give me a brief introduction? Tasia glanced at him with some surprise. Obviously, I didn't expect it. Alec is so eager to understand the situation. It looks like this young master from the Lemontov family. Not as rumored. He is a playboy who only knows how to eat, drink, and have fun. But a down-to-earth doer. P.S. The new book is on its way, and we are looking for free flowers and review tickets. Everyone knows how important the data is on the first day of the new book. If you like this book, please support it. As long as you have 100 votes for 300 flowers, you will receive 10 updates on the first day. Chapter 3. The situation of the prisoner of war camp. New book counting. You are listening at novel full.audio. Cough. Tasia coughed lightly. Immediately, his face darkened. Without hesitation, he spoke loudly. Mr. Alec, the situation is like this. A while ago, a military conflict broke out between our army and the Sakura Guangdong army on the Halexin River at the border of the Alliance and the northeast of Dragon Kingdom. Because it was on the Nomenkan plain, the Alliance military called this battle the Battle of Nomenkan. In this battle, the Alliance army achieved a complete victory and captured a total of 5,376 prisoners of war, greatly undermining the arrogance of the Sakura Kingdom army. These prisoners of war are the foundation for establishing the Sakura prisoner of war camp. Alec nodded lightly. The Battle of Normandy is quite famous in history. It was one of the largest battles of the Bears Alliance and the Sakura army during World War II. It was this battle that made the Sakura army realize the strength of the Maoxiong Alliance army. So the plan to invade the Bears Alliance northward has been temporarily put on hold. Continue. Tasia has a sweet smile on her face. A crisp voice rang out again. Among these 5,376 prisoners, there were 135 officers. One of the prisoners of war, named Jiro Fujino, was a staff officer of the Sakura Guangdong Army headquarters with the rank of colonel. It is said that he had been personally summoned by the Sakura Emperor. He is also the person with the highest position and rank among these prisoners of war. Furthermore, according to reliable intelligence, Jiro Fujino was also involved in the establishment of the Sakura Nation's bacterial unit and played a significant role in it. Upon hearing this, Alec's lips also curved into a cold smile. In his eyes, there was a cold killing intent flashing past. Sure. The Maoxiong League army is really awesome. I caught a big fish. Sakura Colonel. Sakura Guangdong Army Staff. One of the founders of the bacterial army. This kind of senior officer can actually be considered a war criminal to some extent. We must receive the punishment we deserve. Especially this bacterial army. Infamous. They used innocent people from the Dragon Kingdom as experimental subjects. Test bacterial weapons. It's simply a heinous crime. Even if we pull it out and cut it 1,000 times, it's not an exaggeration. This blood debt will ultimately be paid with blood. Now. This damn guy fell into Alec's hands. He must seek revenge, seek justice. Don't say it. Now Alec is feeling a bit hot and dry all over. Excited. Tasia glanced at Alec. A little hesitation. He spoke softly with some concern. Master Alec, I must remind you in advance that the work in prisoner of war camps is not that easy. Those cherry blossom prisoners of war were all proud soldiers and fierce soldiers who had been on the battlefield for a long time. They were naturally fierce and overbearing, and I don't know how much blood and corpses they had seen. This Fujino Jiro is by no means a good troublemaker. With him around, these cherry blossom prisoners of war have a backbone that will unite exceptionally and will definitely find ways to resist. To completely subdue these prisoners, let them work honestly for the Alliance, and complete the mission entrusted to you by the Alliance. You need to have enough skills and wise strategies. As your assistant, I will do everything possible to help you, but you are the true core. You need to be mentally prepared enough. This is what Tasia is most worried about. Because in her opinion, Alec comes from a noble background and has a prominent family background. Just like flowers in a greenhouse. It is difficult to avoid the 4 words of kindness and softness. And those cherry blossom prisoners of war. Like a pack of wild wolves. Although my claws and teeth have been temporarily removed. But the ferocious and cruel nature is hidden in the bones. If it shows a hint of weakness, it could all evolve into some irreversible consequence. Must be even more ferocious than them. More ruthless than them. This point. This pampered young master. Can it really be achieved? And facing Tasia's concerns, Alec just smiled lightly. The slender fingertips with distinct joints lightly tapped on the table. His gaze was indifferent. There is no temperature in the sound. Tasia, you don't have to worry. Simply put, it's just a bunch of cherry blossom dogs. And the prisoner of war camp I want to build will be a... He paused slightly in his speech. Then the tone suddenly rose. Spit out 2 words from between your teeth. Hell. For a while. It seems that the temperature inside the entire carriage has dropped several degrees along with it. And Tasia sat across from Alec. I also felt a sincere chill. The whole person couldn't help but shiver. From Alec's body. She felt a surge of anger. A terrifying pressure that has only been felt on iron-blooded generals like Lemontov before. She suddenly realized something. The young master in front of me, who has always been well-mannered and pampered. Not a weak lamb by any means. But a terrifying beast that has not yet revealed its claws. In his handsome body. Hiding a terrifying soul. At the end of the day. In the body of young Master Alec. What flows is the iron-like blood of the Lemontov family. Vaguely. She had a mysterious premonition in the dark. Perhaps. In the near future. Master Alec will start from the Sakura prisoner of war camp. Blooming with a radiance that can shake the entire alliance, and even the entire world. And for her, Tasia. Serve such a master. It's not something to bury. But rather an unimaginable glory. Think of it here. She suddenly straightened her chest. Beautiful big eyes fixed on Alec. Master Alec, I will do my best to serve you. Assist you in turning the prisoner of war camp into a true hell. Let those cherry blossom prisoners of war all feel pain and repent for the crimes they have committed. P.S. The new book is on its way, and we are looking for free flowers and review tickets. Everyone knows how important the data is on the first day of the new book. If you like this book, please support it. As long as you have 100 votes for 300 flowers, you will receive 10 updates on the first day. Chapter 4. Alec's Ambition. Establish a prisoner of war camp. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Alec chuckled lightly. He is very clear. Grassroots elites like Tasia have outstanding personal abilities. Actually, I look down on him as a super second generation who backs on a big tree. The reason is to protect him personally. That's entirely due to loyalty to Lemontov. And now. The aura displayed by Alec unintentionally. It directly refreshed Tasia's understanding. Tasia has completely changed her view of him. This is a good start. Waiting to arrive at the prisoner of war camp. After he showed enough ruthless means. Tasia will naturally be completely devoted. At that time. Tasia is no longer the assistant arranged by Lemontov. But it will truly become an absolute confidant who is only loyal to Alec himself. That's right. Alec also has ambition. Reborn in a lifetime, with such a prominent background, coupled with a powerful system. This kind of wild start. He naturally wants to showcase his grand vision. Build a political dynasty that belongs entirely to oneself. And the beginning of creating a powerful force. It's about having true followers. And Tasia, a shrewd and agile person, is Alec's first goal. Do you have any other information about the prisoner of war camp? Alec spoke calmly and asked. Tasia has also calmed down from the previous excitement. Restored that sharp and efficient posture. Master Alec, although these prisoners all belong to the Sakura Guangdong army lineage, their affiliations also differ significantly. You should also know that Sakura Kingdom occupied the Kimchi Peninsula before invading Dragon Kingdom. They conscripted a large number of Kimchi soldiers as servants on the Kimchi Peninsula. So, among these more than 5,000 prisoners of war, there are also 2,154 people from the Kimchi Peninsula, who are native Kimchi people. Upon hearing this, Alec raised his eyebrows slightly. Oh. The prisoners of war this time are really a mixed bag. Besides cherry blossoms, there's also kimchi. For the Chinese people of Kimchi, Alec also had no favorable feelings. If little cherry blossoms are a group of ferocious wolves who drink their hair and blood, so Kimchi is just a bunch of spineless wild dogs. Their most proficient means. Just kneel down. Shaking one's tail and begging for mercy in front of a strong country, bowing and bowing. There is no sense of integrity at all. And these pickled Chinese people in later generations are extremely shameless. I am determined to steal the culture of Dragon Kingdom. Alec has long been displeased with them. Since these little pickles have now fallen into Alec's hands, Alec must clean up and tidy them up properly. For a while, Alec looked forward to that prisoner of war camp even more. Tasia, in your opinion, what is the first thing I need to do after arriving at the prisoner of war camp? Alec turned his head and looked at Tasia. Tasia pondered extremely seriously for a moment. It is to lift the cherry lips with great certainty. Spit out 2 words. Rules. Rules. Alec raised his eyebrows. Tasia spoke calmly. Master Alec, this cherry blossom prisoner of war camp is the first practice of our furry bear alliance establishing a prisoner of war camp. There has been no precedent or experience to draw upon before. So, the overall construction progress now is actually a mess. If Master Alec wants to achieve results as soon as possible and put the construction of the prisoner of war camp on track, then you must establish a series of complete rules and regulations. Alec nodded lightly. There was also a hint of appreciation in the gaze towards Tasia. The old man has a keen eye for people. Tasia, this little girl, is indeed a rare talent. Her analysis is very accurate. For prisoner of war camps, it is very necessary to establish a complete set of rules and regulations as soon as possible. If a prisoner of war camp is a house, so the rule is to support the pillars of this house. The matter should not be delayed. Let's discuss carefully now how to establish the rules of the prisoner of war camp. Alec spoke loudly. Immediately, he took out a notebook and an extremely exquisite feather pen from a nearby bag. Tasia's clear and watery eyes couldn't help but sparkle with a hint of brilliance. My young master is too motivated. With determination, courage, and such efficient execution, the future will become a great achievement. Well, Master Alec, that's what I think. Soon. Under the discussion between Alec and Tasia, a pile of densely packed words appeared on the white paper. If nothing unexpected happens, this will be the rules and regulations of future prisoner of war camps. At the same time, it will also be an unparalleled sword above every cherry blossom prisoner of war and kimchi prisoner of war. Who Tasia let out a heavy breath. A faint look of fear also flickered in my eyes. My own young master far more terrifying than what she thought. These rules and regulations personally drafted by Alec did not even treat those cherry blossom prisoners of war as human beings. It's all about treating them as a humanoid mineral deposit. To exploit and extract all their value. It's simply extremely spicy. If it weren't for what I saw with my own eyes. Natasha couldn't believe it at all. How could a young master who is well nourished and has never seen blood have such a cold and resolute iron wrist? And at the same time. In Alec's ear. The cold sound of the mechanical system rang out again. Ding. Congratulations to the host. The host established the rules and regulations of the prisoner of war camp for the first time, achieving special achievements. Obtain a special achievement reward with a super cold resistance buff. You won't feel cold in the cold wind of Siberia. Obtain special achievement rewards to strengthen your physique. You will have the physique and combat skills equivalent to the King of War. Obtain a special achievement reward for the majesty of the monarch. Those who see you will tremble under your majesty. A series of reward announcements. Alec was a bit confused. Ignoring the cold buff of Siberian winds. A formidable physique comparable to that of 100 battle king. Is there also invisible oppression like a monarch? The things provided by the system are somewhat too generous. Next up. Alec couldn't help but tremble all over. Let out a muffled groan with low hair. He can feel it. There is an extremely mysterious and powerful force. Quietly pouring into the body. He is undergoing a complete overhaul of every inch of his skin and every muscle and bone. In those invisible places. His muscles bulge, his bones reshape, and his blood boils. P.S. The new book is on its way, and we are looking for free flowers and review tickets. Everyone knows how important the data is on the first day of the new book. If you like this book, please support it. As long as you have 100 votes for 300 flowers, you will receive 10 updates on the first day. Chapter 5. These iron fists are childhood nightmares. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Young Master Alec. Tasia exclaimed in surprise. Her beautiful eyes were filled with a worried expression. The whole person is in shock and uncertainty. Seeing Alec frown and groan. She instinctively wanted to step forward to guard. But at the same time. On Alec's body, however, a terrifying majesty spread out. That is the majesty exclusive to those in power. This makes Tasia dare not act recklessly again. Don't worry, Tasia, I'm fine. Alec lifted his head. My eyes are bright and lively, filled with sparkling brilliance. He never had a moment so comfortable as now. Just in that moment. The system has completed the modification of his body. He has transformed from a playboy with no combat power to a warrior king capable of crushing any enemy in front of him. Amidst all the limbs and bones, there is a seemingly inexhaustible force filling them all. This makes him really want to find someone to try his hand on. A little hesitation. His gaze locked on Tasia. Tasia, the old man arranged for you to protect me, so your skills should be very good, right? Upon hearing this, Tasia looked up proudly. A hint of contentment flashed through my eyes. She spoke without hesitation. Master Alec, to be honest with you, since following Commander Lemontov, the number of enemies who have died in my hands has exceeded 200. Even if I am an elite soldier in the Alliance's Far East Army, I can still defeat 3 with 1 enemy. If it weren't for this level of military prowess, Commander Lemontov wouldn't have trusted me with your safety, young master. Alec nodded and chuckled lightly. Okay, let's just have a sparring. Come on, punch me. Ah. Tasia's face stiffened. Extremely hesitant. Borrow her 100 courage. She dare not take action against Alec either. Even if we look at the entire Alliance army. Her individual combat effectiveness is definitely top-notch. But young Master Alec has been pampered since childhood and has not undergone any combat training. Take this punch. Enough to kill half of Alec's life. How dare she be reckless again? This is a command. If anything really goes wrong, I'll take responsibility for it myself. Alec spoke in a deep voice. Tasia gritted her teeth. Finally, it's time to muster the courage. Suddenly, 10 fingers clenched tightly and a punch swung out. Of course. Tasia dare not give her all. She only used 5 points of force in this punch. But still, with heavy punches breaking through the air, the wind howling, full of power. This is the top female warrior in the Alliance army. Okay. Alec chuckled lightly. Also waving their fists at the same time. The muscles hidden under the fur cloak bulged like mountains. Boom. 2 fists colliding. Tasia only felt a sharp pain. Step back a few steps. In a pair of beautiful eyes, there was already an indescribable and shocking expression. She never dreamed of it. Young Master Alec, who has always been idle, surprisingly possesses such terrifying power. It's like a humanoid bear. He's hiding too deep. Don't say it's an outsider. Even if it's Commander Lemontov. I'm afraid I don't know either. I wonder if my grandson has such powerful combat power. Such a person. Where else does she need her protection? And while Tasia was shocked, Alec has taken big steps. Approaching Tasia directly. Shake your fist and smash it. Tasia can even hear the sound of bones rubbing and shaking inside Alec's body. At this time. How dare she still have half a hand to spare? I was directly forced out of all my strength. But even if she gives it her all. In front of Alec. Still retreating step by step. I was quickly pushed to the corner of the carriage. Alec seized the opportunity. With his big hand extended, he accurately grasped Tasia's tender white wrist. Following that, a whip leg accurately hit Tasia's perky buttocks. In just one go, Tasia completely lost her balance. The whole person was forced to fall forward. In an extremely ambiguous posture. Forcefully locked in Alec's arms. At this distance, Alec could already clearly smell the fragrance on Tasia's body. And at the same time, Alec's scorching breath can also be directly sprayed onto Tasia's neck. Tasia's originally fair skin couldn't help but turn a pale pink. After a brief period of stagnation, Tasia quickly broke free from Alec's embrace. She lowered her head, her face flushed, and her expression somewhat panicked. Master Alec, I still have some affairs to attend to, I'll go out first. She casually found a reason, which was to escape from this narrow carriage like running away. This little girl. Looking at her panicked back. Alec couldn't help but chuckle lightly. Even when spinning, he lowered his head and looked at his own hands. For my current combat effectiveness. He expressed great satisfaction. Warriors like Tasia are already top-notch in the Alliance army. Can easily subdue her. This is enough to illustrate. Alec's current level of combat can be considered one of the world's top. Basically, in close combat situations, he is already fearless of any threat. I just don't know, what would it feel like to hit those cherry blossom prisoners of war with this punch? With just one punch, you should be able to earn me a lot of torment points, right? Alec murmured to himself. Suddenly, 10 fingers clenched into a fist. Green veins bulge one by one, like venomous snakes coiling around. In the near future, these iron fists will become the nightmare of countless little days. P.S. The new book is on its way, and we are looking for free flowers and review tickets. Everyone knows how important the data is on the first day of the new book. If you like this book, please support it. As long as you have 100 votes for 300 flowers, you will receive 10 updates on the first day. Chapter 6. Is just a big playboy. New book. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Sakura prisoner of war camp base. Above the railway platform. 2 officers wearing Alliance uniforms and carrying the rank of second lieutenant stand here. Both of them followed the long railway tracks and looked towards the vast distance. It seems to be waiting for something. The prisoner of war camp has just been established, and the affairs are too complicated and complicated. As a rough guy, I can't understand these things. These past few days, my whole mind is about to explode. These damn days are finally coming to an end. According to the telegram, the officer appointed by the military headquarters will arrive around 11 o'clock tonight. With that officer present, we can be considered liberated. Arnikov, with a scruffy beard and a tiger back and a bare waist, spoke in a muffled voice. There was a hint of relief and joy on his face. But another slightly emaciated, blonde-haired and blue-eyed Pruxii sneered. There was a hint of indescribable sarcasm in his eyes. Humph, liberation. You're too happy too early. Don't you know the identity of this master? That's Commander Lemontov's biological grandson, the first-class playboy from our Far East side. He paused slightly in his speech. The mocking expression in his eyes was even more intense. Commander Lemontov sent his beloved grandson to the prisoner of war camp, clearly to gild him. Accumulate some qualifications to pave the way for the future. Do you really expect this master to take over the management affairs? Let me tell you this, our brothers not only have to handle all the affairs of the prisoner of war camp, but also have to serve this young master comfortably. We can't let him suffer any injustice here. Otherwise, the 2 of us wouldn't have had any good fruit to eat. Upon hearing this, Anikov's face became even more bitter. It feels like there are tens of millions of grass mud horses rushing past in my heart. I thought I could have a wise officer. Lead them to improve the construction of prisoner of war camps. Who came to think? This is hoping for an ancestor. Boom boom. At this moment, a piercing roar sounded, tearing apart the silent and pitch-black night. A massive train was speeding along the tracks. Stopped steadily next to the platform. Next up. The car door opens. Alec and Tasia walked out one by one. A tall and handsome person. A hot and spicy beauty. It's like a couple of immortals. Pruxii and Anikov quickly welcomed him. I didn't wait for them to speak. Alec directly pulled out the letter of appointment. This is a military document. I am Alec, the newly appointed captain of the Sakura prisoner of war camp. From now on, I will be fully responsible for all affairs here. This is my assistant Tasia. The 2 took over the appointment letter. I checked it as usual. After confirming accuracy, immediately straightened up, raised his head and chest, and solemnly paid a military salute. No matter what they think of Captain Alec in private. But on the surface, they must show extreme respect and obedience to Alec. Alliance Lieutenant, Deputy Officer of the Sakura prisoner of war camp, Anikov, salute Your Excellency the Battalion Commander. Alliance Lieutenant, Deputy Officer of the Sakura prisoner of war battalion, Pruxii, salute Your Excellency the Battalion Commander. Alec nodded lightly. Pruxii lowered his head and looked humble. Your Excellency, Captain, you have come all the way, and the boat and car have been very tiring. It's truly hard work. We have arranged a dedicated person to clean your house and light a bonfire for you. And we have also prepared the purest vodka and freshly baked black liba for you. Our conditions here are rudimentary and our supplies are scarce, comparable to those in the city. However, if you have any needs, Captain, we will do our best to meet them. Anikov stood on the side, nodding frantically. Their attitudes were both extremely respectful. I'm afraid that a slight neglect would offend Alec, the terrifying young master. However, Alec did not do as they had anticipated. Take shelter in a warm cabin for the first time to avoid the cold. But he waved his hand and spoke coldly. There is a hint of unquestionable determination in the tone. Don't rush to rest. Immediately gather all Alliance soldiers from the prisoner of war camp, as well as all prisoners of war. On the way here, I formulated some rules and regulations for the prisoner of war camp, and now I announce them. Pruxii was taken aback. Immediately, I felt a bit embarrassed and down to earth. Your Excellency, Captain, your identity is not ordinary. You are delicate and expensive, unlike us rough men. It's already so late now, and the weather is so cold. If it freezes you, we won't be able to explain it to Commander Lemontov. Alec calmly glanced at him. You don't need to tell anyone. I'm here to work, not to enjoy myself. The construction of prisoner of war camps is very important and of great significance to the Alliance. The more resources can be produced here, the less pressure the frontline soldiers will naturally face. This is where our mission lies. Upon hearing this, Arnikov and Pluxii were both stunned. Immediately glanced at each other. They all looked at each other from each other's eyes. I saw a strong surprise that couldn't be concealed. The style exhibited by Alec. It's completely different from what they expected. So swift and resolute. So resolute and ruthless. Where is there a hint of a playboy's temperament here? Can you say that? Did they take a wrong look? Tasia looked at the two of them. Also, with a gentle smile. She is such a human spirit. Nature immediately understood the psychological activities of Arnikov and Pruxii. My own young master, he is not the kind of embroidered pillow with gold and jade on the outside and hidden behind the scenes. Even she didn't notice it herself. Unconsciously. She has started to take some pride in Alec. What are you still doing in a daze? Why don't you hurry up and execute Master Alec's orders? Tasia spoke coldly. Arnikov and Pruxii only then realized. The two of them saluted the military and then ran away in a hurry. Not long. The rapid and piercing assembly call suddenly exploded in the silent prisoner of war camp. P.S. The new book is on its way, and we are looking for free flowers and review tickets. Everyone knows how important the data is on the first day of the new book. If you like this book, please support it. As long as you have 100 votes for 300 flowers, you will receive 10 updates on the first day. Chapter 7 I Protest. You are abusing prisoners of war. You are listening at novel full.audio. A piercing assembly call. Echoing endlessly in the camp. Sakura prisoners of war were awakened one by one. Hurriedly put on clothes and walked out of the barracks. Converging towards the central area. Baga. What the hell are these soldiers from the Bears Alliance trying to do? It's already so late, it's time for rest, why do you still have to play the assembly horn? People under the eaves have to bow their heads, which means we don't have guns in our hands now, otherwise this group of Alliance barbarians would have been protruding long ago. If it were in the Dragon Kingdom, who would dare to harass us like this? We must dig out his heart and liver. Many cherry blossom prisoners of war lowered their heads and whispered. The tone was filled with strong dissatisfaction and resentment. And among many prisoners of war, there is a short middle-aged man who remains silent. In the drooping eyes, sometimes a sinister cold light flashed through. He is Jiro Fujino, the highest-ranking prisoner of war. In the hearts of many cherry blossom prisoners of war, he is also a pillar-like existence. Alright, don't say anything more. These Alliance soldiers are not good at nitpicking, don't give them any leverage. We must survive tenaciously. We are all warriors of the Sakura Empire, and the great Emperor will not give up on us. As long as we persist, His Majesty the Emperor will definitely come to save us. When we regain our freedom and return to the Guangdong army, it will be the time for us to wash away today's shame, and all Alliance soldiers will pay the price for it. Fujino-Jiro's face darkened. Speak with a cold voice. The cherry blossom prisoners of war around them all nodded solemnly. Amidst each gaze, full of indescribable fanaticism. In their hearts, their emperor. It's just a divine existence. They firmly believe in it. His Majesty the Emperor will definitely try his best to rescue them. They will definitely see the sun again someday. Soon. All the cherry blossom and kimchi prisoners of war gathered in the central area. And surrounded by Alliance soldiers with live ammunition. On the high platform directly ahead, Alec stood silently. Like a towering deity. Calmly overlooking the prisoners of war below. This man. Fujino-Jiro in the prisoner of war group frowned slightly. My heart couldn't help but throb fiercely. He is Colonel Sakura. The military holds a high position in Sakura country. I have already seen many big shots on weekdays. For example, the Sakura Emperor, the Sakura Army Chief, and the Sakura Guangdong Army Commander. This has long honed his quite resilient character. But in the moment of seeing Alec, he still couldn't help but feel a heart-pounding sensation. A vague intuition was telling him. This young Alliance man not easy. The other cherry blossom and kimchi prisoners of war also carefully scrutinized Alec. I dare not say one more word. For a moment, the bustling central area became incredibly quiet. Alec turned his head slightly and his gaze swept over the faces of everyone present. Immediately speak calmly and slowly. Let me introduce myself. I am appointed by the Allied forces as the sole highest official of the Far East prisoner of war camp. That is to say, all affairs here are decided by me, and I am in charge of all your lives. Next, I want to announce some rules and regulations for prisoner of war camps. Each of these systems is very important, and I hope you all keep them firmly in mind. If you dare to violate. He didn't finish speaking. Just a cold smile curled up at the corner of my mouth. And the many prisoners of war present couldn't help but fight a cold war. I just feel an uncontrollable chill surging in. Alec gently raised his hand. Tasia, who was standing by, understood. Hurriedly took out the pre-drafted regulations. Delivered to Alec's hands. Alec took it and spoke in a deep voice. Firstly, all prisoners of war are required to work 14 hours a day, with attendance at 7 in the morning and return to camp at 9 in the evening. They are not allowed to be late or leave early under any circumstances. Secondly, the food quota for all prisoners of war was halved, with 1 loaf of black bread per person per day. Thirdly, the prisoner of war camp implements a system of last place elimination, and the prisoners of war who produce the least daily output will be severely punished. Fourthly, prisoners of war must unconditionally obey the orders of Alliance soldiers and must not engage in any confrontation. Fifth, a series of extremely harsh and cold orders spit out from Alec's mouth. Pruxii, Anikov, and other Alliance soldiers. Everyone looked at each other in confusion. There is a hint of indescribable fear in my eyes. Alec's ruthlessness and cruelty. It's already beyond their imagination. And the faces of the cherry blossom prisoners of war below have become extremely pale. These rules and regulations are really terrible. I don't even treat them like people. It's just using these cherry blossom prisoners of war as animals. No. Even the treatment of livestock. It's much better than these prisoners of war. If it is really implemented according to these regulations, that may not last long. These 5,000 prisoners of war will all become a strand of grievances in Siberia. Many cherry blossom prisoners of war turned their pleading gaze towards Fujino-Jiro. At this time, they can only rely on Fujino-Jiro, the cherry blossom colonel, for their hope. Fujino-Jiro gritted his teeth. Then he took a sudden step. Speak loudly. I protest. You are abusing prisoners of war. You have completely violated international conventions. If this matter spreads, you will face sanctions and condemnation from the entire international community. P.S. The new book is on its way, and we are looking for free flowers and review tickets. Everyone knows how important the data is on the first day of the new book. If you like this book, please support it. As long as you have 100 votes for 300 flowers, you will receive 10 updates on the first day. Chapter 8. Iron-Blooded Wrist. Cruel Suppression. New. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Fujino Jiro's words. 4 other cherry blossom prisoners of war. It's like a life-saving straw. They all spoke in agreement. Protest. The Bears Alliance cannot treat prisoners of war like this. Oppose the rules and regulations of prisoner of war camps. You should respect prisoners of war. For a while. The originally quiet central area has become noisy. Even a few Sakura prisoners of war took the opportunity to approach the nearby Alliance soldiers, hoping to seize firearms and launch a riot. The scene is beginning to shift in an uncontrollable direction. Your Excellency, Captain. Young Master Alec. Anikov, Pruxii, and Tasia all exclaimed in surprise at the same time. There was a hint of worry in my eyes. But Alec was incredibly calm. The expression in his eyes was filled with a chill. He didn't hesitate to pull out a pistol from his waist. Pull the trigger directly. Bang. 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 The black muzzle erupted with flames. The piercing sound of gunfire echoed throughout the room. Every howling bullet can accurately blow up the head of a prisoner of war. Scarlet blood and white brain plasma burst out. Just like a beautiful flower of death blooming. It's just a moment. Alec, with absolute determination, killed 3 aspiring cherry blossom prisoners of war. The smell of blood and gunpowder gathered together. Instantly calmed down the restless prisoners of war. They dare not make any further changes. They all looked at Alec with a look of fear in their eyes. Sir, it's really killing without blinking an eye. If they dare to move again, they will be the ones who get their heads popped in the next moment. And Anikov and Pruxii were both stunned. They all thought Alec was a second-generation playboy who didn't understand anything. Who could have thought of it? Alec is so ruthless and decisive. Kill as you please. There is no dragging at all. Such a character. Who dares to say that he is an ordinary second-generation ancestor? Arnold and Pruxii must slap that person's big mouths. Tasia also has rapid breathing. In a pair of beautiful eyes, a hint of thick brilliance flickered. The more contact you have with your own young master, the more you can discover the deep side of your own young master hidden underwater. She really wants to know. What kind of person is the real young master Alec? If at the very beginning, she followed Alec's side. Just because of Lemontov's orders. Now, she has actually been deeply attracted by Alec's personality charm. The shooting of 3 cherry blossom prisoners of war poses a psychological deterrent to other prisoners of war. After comprehensive calculation, obtain 155 torture points. Hear the pleasant announcement from the system. Alec's lips couldn't help but evoke a cold smile. Obtaining torment values. It's even easier than he imagined. 155 torture points, that's it. Of course. Alec also understands. Shooting is a means of killing. In fact, it has not completely extracted the maximum value of these cherry blossom prisoners of war. Let them live. Slowly resort to various means of torture. Engage in a dual psychological and physiological blow. This is the choice to continuously obtain torment points, completely squeeze out these small cherry blossoms and kimchi, and achieve maximum benefits. He chose to be shot directly. I want to give these prisoners of war a boost. In their hearts, they initially developed a fear of themselves as the prison warden of the prisoner of war camp. Ultimately, whether it's cherry blossoms or kimchi, they are all born cheap bones. Fear of authority without virtue. Only by using power to subdue them. Only then can they obediently obey. Just like now. Alec remained calm and put the pistol back into his waist. Immediately jump off the high platform. Slowly approached Fujino-jiro. I don't know why. Although Alec did not speak or make any unnecessary movements. But Fujino-jiro still felt an extremely strong sense of oppression. This even makes his legs a bit weak. But he still stuck his neck and said with a stiff face. Mr. Warden. I must solemnly protest to you. Although we are prisoners of war, we also have the most basic human rights. You should abide by the internationally recognized Geneva Conventions and Hague Conventions to ensure our basic rights and interests. Aren't you afraid that your superiors will trouble you if you treat us so harshly? Other prisoners of war, as well as numerous Alliance soldiers. They all focused their attention on Alec. They all want to know. Faced with Fujino-jiro's inquiry. What kind of response will Alec give? However. To everyone's surprise. Alec did not speak. But just raise your head and burst out laughing. It's like hearing some big joke. Ha ha ha. Fujino-jiro frowned tightly. What are you laughing at? Alec's smile suddenly faded. Waves of terrifying and fierce light flickered in my eyes. He took a sudden step forward. Looking down at Fujino-jiro, a short cherry blossom war criminal, from a high position. He spoke sharply, word by word. I'll tell you. In this world, any country has the right to negotiate with our furry bear alliance about preferential treatment of prisoners of war, basic human rights, and the Geneva and Hague Conventions. But only. You little cherry blossoms, who deserve to be cut 1,000 times, are not qualified. P.S. The new book is on its way, and we are looking for free flowers and review tickets. Everyone knows how important the data is on the first day of the new book. If you like this book, please support it. As long as you have 100 votes for 300 flowers, you will receive 10 updates on the first day. Chapter 9. This is called the cycle of the heavenly way. Retribution is not satisfying. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Only you, the group of cherry blossoms who deserve to be cut 1,000 times, do not have this qualification. Alec's cold voice. Echoing endlessly in this vast prisoner of war camp. In a simple sentence. Filled with an indescribable, suppressed immense anger. Just like a volcano about to erupt. Fujino-jiro's eyebrows furrowed even tighter. A hint of anger flashed through my eyes. He gritted his teeth slightly and clenched his fist. I couldn't help but hiss and speak. What do you mean by this? Are you contemptuous of our Sakura Empire? Why are the warriors of our Sakura Empire not qualified to talk about human rights? Mr. Warden, I need an explanation. Alec gave him a cold glance. With a sneer. Do you want to explain? Okay. Then I'll explain it to you. He paused slightly in his speech. Then the tone suddenly increased. He spoke sternly and questioned. You are a high-ranking official of the Sakura army, so you must have access to the most detailed and primitive statistical data, right? The Sakura army has been invading the Dragon Country for no less than 8 years. Over the past 8 years, from the snowy northeast to the warm mountains and soft waters of Jiangnan, your cherry blossom army's iron hooves have traversed the vast mountains and rivers of the Dragon Kingdom. I ask you, how many people of the Dragon Kingdom have died under your butcher's knives and firearms? How many women from the Dragon Kingdom have been insulted and even forcibly conscripted into comfort women in the army by you? How many elderly people have lost their children, how many children have lost their parents, and how many villages have been leveled? Dare you give me an accurate number? Do you dare? Stop every word. Crying blood every word. Be deafening and enlightening. It's as if countless tragic souls are questioning in unison. Upon hearing this, Fujino Jiro stiffened all over. Alec is right. As a Sakura colonel and staff officer of the Guangdong Army headquarters, he can certainly access confidential information that others cannot access. Over the years, how many soldiers and civilians of the Dragon Kingdom have been mercilessly killed by the Sakura army? He has a plan in his mind. Just that specific number. Anyway, he dare not say it at all. Because that number is really too huge. It is an extremely heavy and indelible heinous crime. As for the other cherry blossom prisoners of war, they couldn't help but tremble all over. What did they do on their own? They have a clear understanding in their hearts. In the hands of these people present. Who doesn't have the lives of dozens or hundreds of innocent people from the Dragon Kingdom? How arrogant they were when they massacred the people of the Dragon Kingdom. How scared I am now. In the hearts of many people. They couldn't help but harbor a strong sense of regret. I knew one day would come. We shouldn't have ravaged the people of Dragon Kingdom like that in the beginning. And Tasia, Anikov, Pruxii, and others all fell silent. Standing there dumbfounded, without saying a word. Although they are not dragon people. But one can also imagine the extreme brutality. The cherry blossoms are a group of anti-human animals. We must obtain the necessary sanctions. At this moment, they all began to firmly support Alec's decision. To build a prisoner of war camp comparable to hell. Do you understand now? Talking about human rights and preferential treatment with me, you little cherry blossoms are not worthy at all. Before you claim your human rights, it's best to first think about who the people of the Dragon Kingdom who died in the past should ask for their human rights. Alec's voice was indifferent. A fierce and gloomy gaze swept across the faces of every cherry blossom prisoner of war present. And these cherry blossom prisoners of war, when being scanned by Alec, they couldn't help but lower their heads, avoiding Alec's gaze and not daring to look at him. Although they are all the kind of fierce soldiers accustomed to blood and slaughter. But when being watched by Alec, still, there will be a chilling feeling that arises naturally. It's like being stared at by some extremely terrifying beast. Didn't your little cherry blossom pick up many cultures from Dragon Country? Aren't you claiming to be the legitimate inheritors of Chinese culture? I should also know that in the tradition of the Dragon Kingdom, there is a concept of karma and retribution. This is called the cycle of the heavenly way. Retribution is not satisfying. It's not that we don't give up, the time has not arrived. Boom. Reincarnation of the heavenly way. Retribution is not satisfying. It's not that we don't report it. The time has not arrived. These simple words are like a thunderbolt. Blow in the ears of every cherry blossom prisoner of war. They seem to have seen it. In the future, they will be in this prisoner of war camp. What terrifying punishment and retribution have you suffered? Some cherry blossom prisoners of war with weak psychological qualities simply collapsed to the ground with weak legs. Underneath them, there were puddles of turbid liquid oozing out, emitting a foul odor. Unexpectedly, I was scared to pee by Alec. Ding. Using verbal intimidation, successfully dealt a heavy psychological blow to the Sakura prisoners of war. After comprehensive calculation, obtained a torment value of 237 points. The sound of the system echoed again in Alec's ear. More than 200 torture points were easily recorded. To some extent, this group of cherry blossoms is simply a gold mine. Alec's smile at the corner of his mouth became even stronger. On the one hand, he can avenge the people of the Dragon Kingdom who died and express his resentment. On the other side, you can also search for torture points and exchange them for system rewards. Is there anything better than this in the world? And his smile. In the eyes of Fujino Jiro. That adds a touch of horror. It's just a devil's smile. Fujino Jiro couldn't help but take a step back. Just want to stay away from Alec, further away. Alec came to his senses. A playful gaze lightly swept over Fujino Jiro's body. Immediately took a step forward and approached Fujino Jiro's side. He lowered his voice and said. "Oh, by the way, there's one more thing I forgot to say. According to the intelligence I have received, besides Colonel Sakura, you are a staff officer of the Guangdong Army Headquarters. I have also participated in the establishment of the Bacterial Army. Isn't that right? P.S. The new book is on its way, and we are looking for free flowers and review tickets. Everyone knows how important the data is on the first day of the new book. If you like this book, please support it. As long as you have 100 votes for 300 flowers, you will receive 10 updates on the first day." Chapter 10. I think you are very suitable for conducting bacterial research. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hear Alec's words. Fujino Jiro's face couldn't help but change slightly. A very ominous premonition flashed through my heart. What do you mean by this? Hehe, it's not very interesting. Alec smiled calmly. I happen to have some interest in bacterial research. When the conditions of the prisoner of war camp are ripe, I am also preparing to establish a bacterial research department. At that time, we will definitely need some experimental products. I think the body of a cherry blossom high-ranking official like you, who is proficient in bacterial research, would definitely be the most suitable for conducting research. Upon hearing this, Fujino Jiro couldn't help but tremble all over. There was also a strong expression of fear in my eyes. As one of the founders of the Bacterial Army, his horror of bacterial research can be said to be crystal clear. They have conducted too many inhumane experiments using the people of the Dragon Kingdom as subjects. Just like dissecting a living person. They will do it without anesthesia. Take out all the organs of a normal dragon person. Another example is the pestis experiment. They will inject pestis into the body of a healthy dragon. Just to observe the whole process of pestis infection. There are also human-animal hybridization experiments, frostbite experiments, and atmospheric pressure live experiments. Every piece is like torture. He never dreamed of it. One day, such an experiment could potentially fall on oneself. If there really is that day, it's better for him to die than to die. Crazy. You're a lunatic. He let out a hysterical roar. Ding, successfully created a great fear of Sakura Colonel Fujino Jiro through verbal means. After comprehensive calculation, obtained a torment value of 198 points. Received feedback from the system. Alec's mood has become even happier. And he also keenly discovered an important detail. That's the number of torment points. Previously, he verbally threatened all cherry blossom prisoners of war. The torture value obtained is only slightly over 200. And now, just Fujino Jiro alone, I directly contributed nearly 200 torture points to it. The quantity is quite substantial. After a brief hesitation, Alec figured out the key. This should be due to identity issues. Fujino Jiro's identity is extraordinary. He is Colonel Sakura, a staff officer of the Guangdong Army Headquarters. A cherry blossom high-ranking official without compromise. It can already meet the standards of war criminals. So torture him. The torture value that can be produced is incomparable to other ordinary Sakura prisoners of war. This is just a big school. What if I can catch Major General Sakura, Major General, and General? Even the commander of the Sakura Guangdong Army, or the Emperor of Sakura Kingdom. How much torture value can they provide me with? Alec murmured to himself in his heart. For a while, his heart is filled with anticipation. In the future, if conditions permit, he must capture and extract all the war criminals enshrined in a divine toilet in the Sakura Kingdom. Cherry Blossom Country, these masterminds of war, no one can think of getting away with it. And at this moment, Fujino Jiro was still muttering incessantly. Crazy. You're definitely crazy. Alec spoke calmly. Are you crazy now? I'm just preparing to replicate what you little cherry blossoms have done as is. This kind of thing, if you do it, is to exterminate humanity. And what we do is called revenge, it's called tooth for tooth, eye for eye, blood for blood. In one sentence, you deserve it. Speaking. Alec pointed to himself. My name is Alec. Do you know what this name means in Alliance language? Guardian. Cruelly suppressing all enemies and sowing the seeds of fear is my way of guarding. Fujino Jiro has rapid breathing and red eyes. He can no longer maintain his rationality. That originally gentle mask was completely abandoned. He roared like a raging beast. With a sudden leap, he fiercely charged towards Alec. But from the moment of entering the prisoner of war camp, each of them was adorned with heavy handcuffs and ankle shackles. So he is simply unable to complete a complete pounce. Can only fall heavily in front of Alec. These damn shackles. You should be grateful that this is a prisoner of war camp. If there were no such damn restraints on the battlefield, I would definitely twist your head off. Fujino Jiro looked crazy and roared out loud. Alec is superior. His gaze was indifferent. There was no hint of pity in the eyes. There was only one kind of mockery, as if watching a dead dog fall into the water. Want to kill me? I'm in a good mood today, give you this opportunity. Someone, untie his handcuffs and ankle shackles, I want to fight him fairly. P.S. The new book is on its way, and we are looking for free flowers and review tickets. Everyone knows how important the data is on the first day of the new book. If you like this book, please support it. As long as you have 100 votes for 300 flowers, you will receive 10 updates on the first day.